Hello and welcome to the Eye on the U podcast, Miami Herald's Miami Hurricanes podcast. I'm David Wilson. I am joined, as always, on the other line by Susan Miller-Degnan, our Hurricanes beat writer here at the Herald. Susan, what's going on? Very
Well,
muted intro for me as I'm sitting in the middle of FIU's campus right now. But what's going on?
trade. Uh, I can see the trees. Well, it's probably going to start raining here soon too. But all is well, as we prepare to cover, another game for an undefeated 4-0 team.
Yep.
Against Georgia Tech. I don't want to assume UM's going to win, even though I do assume UM's going to win. Hopefully the players don't assume they're going to win. Okay.
Yes.
That's what coaches are stressing this week, I think, or at least Shannon Dawson did.
Yeah. So we got Miami, Georgia Tech coming up Friday night, 8 p.m. Both of us will be at Hard Rock Stadium after the bye week. My first time in a game in a little while, because obviously they were at Temple right before the bye. They'll be wearing those nice fancy Miami Knights uniforms with those neon looking helmets. Georgia Tech, as you mentioned, coming off a terrible week. They were up 14-0 in no time on Bowling Green, end up kind of getting killed, not killed, 38-27. Pretty much as bad a Power 5 loss as any Power 5 team has had this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you're up 7-0 with 7 seconds, 7 seconds into the game, they were 7-0, and then 5 minutes into the game, or a little bit like 5 minutes later. They were winning 14-0, right? So everybody's like, I think you and I texted or whatever.
Yeah, you texted me like,
okay.
Georgia Tech looks great. And then I didn't check that. I didn't even know what happened until the next class. I wasn't paying attention to that game. You texted me, you were on the plane, I think, coming back from Philly. Or no, not Philly. You were on your plane coming back from the West Coast with the bye week. And you're like, well, Georgia Tech looks great. And I just assumed that they rolled. And then I see they lost 38-27 Bowling Green. So we don't have to talk that much about Georgia Tech.
Pretty amazing. So, yeah. Well, okay.
But I think we can go.
We don't have to.
It's a good excuse as ACC play starts to talk about the importance of the ACC slate to Miami. Obviously 4-0 already. 0-0 in the conference. A lot of pretty much everyone else in the conference has played a conference game at this point, I think. So Miami.
Everyone has played. Miami's
the only one.
Team that has not played yet.
So Miami gets things kicked off this weekend. And obviously the Texas A&M game was huge and in a lot of ways the most important. We're going to go down as one of the most important games of Miami's season, no matter what happens. But Miami ultimately is really going to be judged on what happens starting this week. And that is not just about Georgia Tech. It's about the run you can make in the conference.
I think this year is the last year, as we've said before, that they did eliminate. Actually, it's the first year they've eliminated divisions. Okay, first year, and the two top teams in the ACC with the best winning percentage in the league will face each other on December 2nd in the ACC title game, and all they count, remember, is the ACC winning percentage, unless there's a tie, of course, and then they go to overall games. Like Mario Cristobal called it, a playoff now from here on out, kind of. Every game from here on out. At the beginning of the season, we didn't think before the season started that they'd get to the ACC title game. I didn't think they'd be able to, and now I'm thinking they will be able to if they keep up good play. But now they're really going to be tested from here on out.
Yeah.
And if they do get into the ACC title game, I mean, then you got a New Year's bowl. I mean, you got a major bowl, one of the big bowls.
Right.
Who knows? I mean, it could be whatever. Last year, this is the last year with four a 4-team playoff, college football playoff, and then it goes to 12, is
12,
it?
yeah.
8?
Yeah.
12? I don't know. It gets much bigger.
Mhm. Yeah, so for Miami, obviously it's, the games everyone has circled. It's still Clemson, even though Clemson's probably out of contention for the ACC championship game realistically with 2 losses this quickly.
Right.
Everyone's got that game, and then obviously North Carolina and Florida State circled, but the way, Mario is obviously, it's a little bit of hyperbole to say it's the playoff from here on out, but if you're a believer that Florida State and North Carolina are both, teams that are gonna get through the slate with 1 or 0 losses, like it is the divisions, especially Miami, haven't been in the Coastal. You don't have that buffer anymore. Like you got to pretty much be perfect, right? You're competing, instead of competing with 7 teams for one title game spot. Now you're competing with all 14. Yeah, you can't afford to screw it up. I don't expect Miami to screw it up this weekend, but it is that little, people say the great thing about college football is every week is an elimination game. And even in the ACC, I know Georgia Tech, again, like Miami's a big favorite this weekend.
Yeah.
But it's that same approach that, if you lose a game like that, you're kind of out of it already.
Yes, I mean, for sure. And Georgia Tech, of course, is not considered one of the stronger teams.
No.
So, no. And then really, I mean, they go to North Carolina next week.
That's when it really ramps up.
And yeah, it's super ramps up. And like you were saying, Clemson, I mean, but Clemson's still,
They're still very
be considered a
talented.
very big game for them. Yeah, of course. And then, I mean, and then, North Carolina State, you just don't know really what you're going to see. Florida State, at North Carolina State, they have a lot of road games. Their schedule starts out heavy on the home games. And they play their last 3 out of 4 games, which is tough on the road. So, I mean, they have at North Carolina State on November 4th. They've got at Florida State the next week, November 11th, right? And then they come home for the next to the last regular season game against Louisville, who is now ranked 25th.
Yeah.
And then their finale is at Boston College, which you'd think they could take care of, but Boston College almost beat Florida State. So who knows this year? And also you've got weather factors that come in. People hate when I say that, but November 24th at Boston College.
Right, that's going to be
in Boston. It could be snowing. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. And by the way, the 4 ranked teams are Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, and Louisville. So, I mean, they've got a hard road, I think. But so far, if they keep doing what they've been doing, David, if they really are focused, they really seem serious and focused. And if they can eliminate some of the injuries, and get some guys back or whatever, I think they're in good shape.
Yeah, I think like SP Plus, which is one of ESPN's many computer metrics, like has basically, if you throw out, obviously a lot of those rankings are based on they factor in stuff based on last season and your transfers and all that. Like if you throw out just all the noise they had to start the year, Miami's like right up there. I think like top 5 in the country. They've been as impressive as anyone. I think they're up to like top 15 in most of those like computer type rankings. Obviously their resume is really impressive so far. And like could they slip up at some point? But sure, but they don't look like a team that's going to. Obviously, they haven't played in a week. They're coming off a bye. As you mentioned, Georgia Tech, like kind of very much we coming in with nothing to lose and all that kind of stuff. But it's at the point where there have been a lot of times when this kind of game would pop on the schedule for Miami, and you'd be like, how are they going to screw this up, right? How are they going to make this more competitive than it should be? But they've given us no reason so far this year to think that they won't take care of business this weekend.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. And they're impressive. Again, they've only played 4 games and they've been non-conference, other than, well, including Texas A&M, but Texas A&M is good. Well, I think it's impressive that they're number 11 in scoring defense and number 8 in scoring offense.
Yeah.
That's really, out of 130 teams, they're number 11 in scoring defense. They're only allowing 12.5 an average, 12.5 points a game, and they're scoring 43.8 points a game. Very impressive, actually. And number 5 in the country in turnovers lost, which is also, I think, super impressive. And so did they. Games, and one of them was a pick by Tyler in the first game, and that's it. Tyler has not thrown an interception since, and 2 lost fumbles, I guess. That's it.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's they have a lot of impressive numbers and a lot of impressive players, actually. So I'm excited for the real season.
Yeah.
Now
I want to get into Tyler Van Dyke in just a second. You wrote pretty extensively about him earlier this week. When you talk about how serious this team is, it really seems like he is in a lot of ways setting that tone for Miami. But we should mention there seems like they're going to get a lot of guys back this weekend. Obviously, they were very dinged up, really coming out of the Texas A&M game. A lot of guys didn't suit up against Bethune-Cookman the next week. Got a couple of guys back against Temple, but still pretty dinged up going into the bye. Seems like they're going to be, pretty much all those guys who were missing. Not everyone who's been missing, period, but the guys who got hurt in that Texas A&M game, including Cameron Kinchens. Seems like they should have most of them back this Saturday.
That's the big one. I don't know most. I mean, I don't think they're going to get Akeem Mesidor back, and I don't think they're going to get Branson Dean back. I have a gut, but they might. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they will.
But the big one's Kinchens, obviously.
Mario said, "Oh, Kinchens, that's huge, right?" Yeah. He's so excited. He had 3 interceptions last year at Georgia
Tech. Yeah.
At Georgia Tech, and if all you fans recall, Jakari Brown, who has not taken a snap, has not been on the field this year, started that game because Tyler was hurt, and Jakari had a tremendous game. I think he threw for 3 touchdowns and looked beautiful running, and won the game. Might have been one of their only ACC wins.
Yeah.
I'm looking right here. But actually it was their last win of the season. Then they lost at Clemson and Pittsburgh. Yeah. But so that was kind of interesting. Tyler didn't play because of the shoulder problems last year. But he's having it's huge. You're talking about guys coming back that Cam Kinchens is coming back. He's super psyched up. And, some other guys in this place have done really great. According to Jaden Harris, they said, has been spectacular in his place. And Jaden Davis, a corner, has been doing a great job. And so their DBs, we've talked about that, but are doing a lot better than we thought they would.
I was excited to see
they're going to have to, by the way, because
considering remember when we talked right after the Texas A&M game, we were worried that, I don't know, maybe we weren't going to see him again this year. And obviously it did not end up being as serious as we thought. Not that it wasn't serious at all, but just could have looked really, really bad when it happened. So good to see him back. And in the same way that I mentioned, Tyler is such a tone setter for the offense and the team as a whole. Cam is clearly that guy for the defense.
Oh, for sure. And I think that they're going to need him because the Georgia Tech, we just said their passing offense, they're good. Their offense is actually good. They're 1733 in the nation passing yards per completion. Their total offense, David, is 19th in the nation. And the quarterback, Haynes King, is he's good.
Yeah.
Passing touchdowns, he's 4th in the nation, 4th. in the nation with 15 passing touchdowns. He's 10th in passing yards with 1,480. He's second in the nation in passing yards per game with almost 300. And yeah, so I mean, they have a good offense. Okay, so it's just their defense has been cruddy, and because of what we said, giving up the 38 unanswered points and losing last week, Brent Keyes, he didn't fire, but he demoted the defensive coordinator, and now he's just a safeties coach, and they promoted the assistant defensive coordinator. So they're going to have a new defensive coordinator, but I'm wondering how much can you change in a week?
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
But
I mean,
it's not
for
the
Miami,
NFL.
it might be like might be a hiccup to start the game, right? You come off a bye, defense that might look a little different than you've seen on film, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, obviously, it's never
I
a
know.
good thing for you when you've demoted one of your coordinators a month into the season. Not a good sign.
No, definitely not a good sign. And maybe they'll have a few little wrinkles or maybe disguises, it'll look a little different or whatever, but it's the same players. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That guy had been with them for a while. I think since maybe 2019 or something.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's kind of interesting storylines, I think. And it's a late game,
Yeah, Miami nice uniforms, as we said. Didn't wear them last year.
No,
we're supposed to wear them, and I think Mario was like, "We're not good enough to wear these." So now they bust them out this year.
We won't say that, but basically,
I had to be what happened. Like, it's the only explanation.
Because they were coming off a loss.
Was it after the Florida State game or something?
45-3. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're not going to celebrate wearing this. So anyway, yeah.
I think it'll be a pretty good atmosphere. 4-0.
I think so
20.
too.
I know it's just Georgia Tech, but people have been, they haven't had like their, they haven't had the chance. This is the first Saturday home game since the Texas A&M game. Like, obviously Bethune-Cookman they played since then, but it's a Thursday night. The crowd is never going to be like that great for that game like that. I think this is the chance for Miami fans who maybe wanted a chance to check out this team in person, to celebrate this team a little bit in person. I think this
it'll be cooler at
night game. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's October. So it's starting to get nice. So and I don't think I've drinking the Kool-Aid again, but I don't think just Georgia Tech. I think the same thing as Shannon. You got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Again, I don't think. I mean, I'd be stunned if they screw this game up, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little shaky to start, just because, like I said, bye week, maybe guys coming back from injury,
or somebody turns the ball over. Things can happen.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
You just don't expect, and then, like Shannon Dawson said, one little slip can just change the whole tenor.
Yeah. The main reason, though, that I think they'll be fine is because of Tyler Van Dyke, and not just how well he is playing, but as you wrote this week, how locked in he seems right now, and obviously the O-line and the offense. I mean, you probably you know Tyler about as well as anyone around in the media. We've been writing about him since he was in high school. You've run into him a million times at camps and stuff in the off season. What stands out to you about him right now? Obviously, he's always a pretty serious guy, but you mentioned it even in your story this week that he's locked in a way that on a different level than he has.
He's very locked in, and the other different thing, and he says this, he keeps saying this every time, he's confident. He's super confident, and he said it again this week. He said he thinks that's the most important thing for a quarterback, to be really confident. He pairs big time, okay, in the season, and he said he helped his motion. His motion was shorter. He probably releases the ball quicker. Something about his front arm and his back arm. he's just feeling more confident. He said the biggest quarterback trait, best quarterback trait you can have is confidence. And he always says that. He taught psychologist Eric Goldstein every week. He said he reads a book before every game. He reads excerpts or whatever from this book, Greatness by David Cook, about your, positive mindset. And he said little paragraphs to kind of get my mind right. So he is very focused. And it was funny because he was asked about, how serious and focused he looked. And do they ever do anything fun? Has the team done anything fun to celebrate their success? And he was so serious when he answered it. He didn't even smile. He said, yes, they went to Putt Shack.
I've wanted to go to that Putt Shack. It seems kind of fun. It comes up on my Instagram sometimes.
I Googled it. It looks so cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do a Miami media outing. If it's working for the football team, maybe it'll be good for the Miami media if we all go. I wanted to go. I've talked about going a million times. I think it's in Brickell, right? Brickell City Center.
Yes. That's where it is. Yeah, but he said, yeah. It was kind of fun, but we had to get right back or whatever to working out. He said, I love this. He said, just because we won the first 4 games doesn't mean we're going to win the last 8. And he said everything he says is very serious and it's very true. Right. Yeah. So, and he's a great golfer. Yes, I know. I put that in the story and I said it. He's a very good golfer too. He loves that. That's probably how they got him to go out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
The confidence thing is so important because, obviously the injuries last year were, as I've said a million times, like that's part of it, but it wasn't the whole thing with Tyler. Whatever it was, and a lot of it's the offense, obviously, and the scheme and stuff, but Rhett Lashley, you think back to when Tyler first went in, what was it? Was it the NC State game where he was like, yeah, we should have scored. What was the quote where he was like, oh, we should have won by 40. Like,
yeah, that was the one he was mad. He was mad. I think, wasn't that the one they were saying stuff to him while they were warming up?
Yeah.
Like giving him grief. Don't do that to him.
But so he's always had that kind of natural confidence, or he definitely had it at least when Rhett Lashley was in charge.
That got him mad. But he didn't last year.
And he didn't last year. That's what I was going to say. Yes, he had it with Rhett Lashley. He did not have it last year. He seems to have it again this year.
Yeah, and let me just say, I think a lot of again, Shannon Dawson said he was like adamant that the reason he's doing so well was basically, he said the 10 guys around him, but
yeah,
let's put an asterisk around the offensive line because that's what he kept saying. He said the offensive line is not getting him touched. He's able to stand in there. He's able to, take his time, and because they've been so good. That's given him the confidence. He's calm, he's calm in the pocket. He's not like thinking, oh my God, I'm about to get killed, especially last year with that injury. Can you imagine what happened to him every time he got hit? So I think the offensive line is for sure the MVP.
Yeah.
The team, I think. Tyler, yes, but / offensive line. To me, no doubt.
Yeah, I think the O-line, but and we've talked about the receivers a lot. I think that's a big part of it too. Tyler's a guy who wants to take shots, who wants to challenge defenses, and it doesn't work when you don't have receivers who can't make plays. And the fact that those guys are making plays in the same way that Charleston Rambo was 2 years ago, that's huge too. Because yes, Tyler's great, but it's not like he's the most accurate quarterback in the world, right? He's got a big arm. I think he puts the ball in really good spots, where it's not like he's not just throwing to open guys. I guess he's pretty accurate, I think, on those deep sideline throws. But he's not just a guy. Some quarterbacks are great because they just always can find the open guy and make that throw. That's not who Tyler is. He wants to take shots. The offensive line lets him do that. And the receivers let him do that too, because they win some of those 50-50 balls, which was those two things just were not happening last year. Say whatever you will about Josh Gaddis and the offense, and the scheme and all that kind of stuff. But the personnel wasn't good enough either. And then obviously the injury just threw everything off. It's hard to have confidence when that's not working.
For sure. And by the way, I just saw an interesting number. The Georgia Tech is 128th of 130 teams nationally in rushing defense, and Miami is 9th in rushing offense. So, we'll see if AJ Allen returns,
Mhm.
what the story is. And, hopefully, hopefully everybody else is okay. Henry Parrish, he went out last game, in Temple, he had at a certain point he went out and no one's talked about him since, other than how he's been spectacular. He's been really, really good and dependable, but hopefully he's, they don't tell us injury stuff. So hopefully he's healthy. Yeah. I'm kind of excited about this game, other than it starts at 8 o'clock and we'll get out of there.
Be a
God
late
knows.
night. It'll be a late night.
Really?
Anyway, I think we can finish things up there. You can
Good.
follow Susan on Twitter at @smillerdegnan. Follow me on Twitter at DBWilson2. We'll both be at Hard Rock on Saturday, so be sure to follow along. And we will talk to you guys next week.